because Valdez is so good. The mobility on his lease.
It's crazy, jumping in there, getting the level 5 to pick up the Dragon's Reach at such a clutch, opportune moment made all the difference because Aquino couldn't find the engage to line it up with TF, and that's a big sign what we're about to see. Julie once again going to be a target focus, gets taken down, claimed by G4, and so they pick up yet another kill to lead things 2-0.
And that's the power of Lee Sin. That's why Vi struggles to answer the Lee Sin as a draft pick. Lee Sin is going to come out of the gate and do this much damage in the early game in the hands of somebody like Valdez. And Vi doesn't really have an answer to that until she hits level 5, until she gets that ultimate. TF has just done that, let that gank happen in the mid lane so that they could farm up and get to level 5, get now to level 6 with an ultimate in pocket. That's going to change the pace of this game, and I'm going to be interested to see as Valdez roams down towards the bottom lane, sets up for this dragon, whether or not TF can match that presence still.
And it's also going to make a big difference because Valdez is building towards lethality items. We've seen a couple of varying ideas towards the first item from Lee Sin. Some people go for the lethality item, the Ghost Blade. Some might go for something along the lines of the Guardian's Angel, just to give it a little bit more survivability. A little interesting exchange coming through. Redemption going to be proud to Evo's esports, like you mentioned, have set their presence down towards the Dragon lane, looking to try and set up for this Dragons, the Infernal, something that both teams probably want, but both are willing to back off and reset for now.
Yeah, so the Redemption was there just for a vision check. Evos wanted to make sure there was nobody behind that Rakan engage, because Akino was kind of bluffing, going up really aggressive to try and build space to steal away that scuttle. It was a very important scuttle. The fact that Evos gets it means that we can get a reset down bottom. They can go back to base knowing there's vision on this drive.
Flash away from TF, the taunt comes through on the device, should be able to get this kill, gets the kill with the Lee Sin. Valdez claims that one, now looking for the re-engage back on Aquino, but Aquino jumps back onto Julius and survives with his life by the heroic engage used. So now they're moving on to the Dragon. He was esports in a pretty prime position to pick this one up. Yeah, looking to pick this one up.
And this is what I was talking about when I said the vision was really important. TF can't get near the Drake, ends up caught in a very weird position, gets run over, and Evos get the first Drake for free. Everything they want out of the early game has gone their way. There is still a road, a speed bump ahead in SBTC's mid-game. This is where their composition spikes. Ezreal, once they complete that Manamune, you see currently stacking in their inventory, will be a powerhouse threat pretty much no matter what happens in the early game. But Evos are on path to their ideal team fight in that mid-game because of how successful they've been so far.
So making good use of the power spikes that they have in this early game and denying SBTC really well. We'll have to see what else they want to get done here, considering they've made a lane swap, bringing Renekton down towards the Dragon lane, bringing that Xayah and Janna up towards the Baron lane, looking like they could want to contest this with Herald. SBTC doing a pretty good job of setting up control around this quadrant of the map though.
SBTC already on the case, trying to lane swap their bottom lane up towards the top side. That is going to be matched. It's Cat Satan and Kirol both now up by the Rift Herald, as both teams want to bring their farming AD carries towards the side of the map. Oh, this is good.
Engage onto Xayah, but Xayah should be able to get out with the Blade Caller. With the Featherstorm,
yeah, so that's ultimate blown, and they have to reset. Cat Satan is not going to be here for this Rift Herald.
Doesn't look like it matters all too much. They do manage to get the taunt right onto Kiro. Kiro looking to go down. Redemption coming through. Ignite is going to be used as well. Valdez moves to the backline looking for this kill. Isn't quite able to find it. Instead, brings the attention back on the Rift Herald. They pick this one up. And Evil's esports might not find a kill, but they get the Herald slain.
Presented by Globe here, as Cat Satan resets on the Honey Fruits and just walks up. Doesn't have anything other than the auto attacks. But it's enough. They find Kiral. knock him
Oh,
so
this
low,
might
it's a
be in a bad
guaranteed
spot. He
kill.
does knock back Julie, so Julie gets away from the Galio ultimate, but instead moves into the loving arms of Evil's Esports to take him down. Now attention coming onto the Renekton. Is Renekton in the back line, looking to try and get this kill on the Kino, but it's a difficult kill for Valdez. Valdez goes a little bit too aggressive, goes golden, survives a little bit long against Kiro, and Kiro might just have the damage to find this. He trades back, takes down Valdez, but the rest of his team dies off, and Mina's not anywhere to be found in that fight.
And this is really snowballing now. Evos are going to be able to get that top turret. They've still got a Rift Herald in their pocket. They can do anything from here on out. This is really hard to come back into from SBTC. You still have that Kiro power spike around the corner. You're still going to have a scarier Julie as this game goes on. But it's going to be so hard to step into a front line against Cat Satan from here on out, against, even as Valdez fades, the power of this team fight.
Problematic because the Dragon's going to come up pretty soon, and so they have another objective they have to worry about. SBTC Esports losing a lot of momentum. Difficult time to scale up because you mentioned they need some time to pick up the items to become this big team fighting threat and this big team fighting presence. Without that and the speed and pace that Evos are going at, I'm a little bit worried. SBTC may never find their footing.
Yeah, this is a really hard game for SBTC to turn around. But they do have the advantage in the team fight. They do have the advantage kind of no matter what at the 15-minute mark. So I'm looking at it as a stopwatch game. Can they last 15 minutes?
Oh, well, 15 minutes might be coming a little early as Evil Esports jumps back in. Valdez does go down. SBTC claims that first kill to start off the fight. G4 moves back into the enemy lines, looking to try and pick up the fight. Now Kino goes a little bit too aggressive. But guess what? It's going to be G4 that goes down instead. But he's the Featherstorm tries to get out, but isn't able to do so. SBTC Esports turns this fight around, picks up 3, and Renekton over by the side, flashes forward, looking for a kill onto the Ezreal. Ezreal flashes away. Barely Spice now stuck in between 3 members. The Tornado is going to get knocked out back on the TF. Temper's still in a good spot, trying to fight this one out. Looking for a kill onto anybody that he can. He takes out the Gragas, picks up a second kill onto the Vi. It's a double kill. They turn things back on its head as Evil's Esports barely managed to equalize.
And you see how scary Thipper is, but you also see SBTC bring themselves back towards this game. Are they in it? No. Can they be in this game in 5 minutes? Yes. So Evos are making the right call off of that information. We have a very narrow window, they say. Oh, that was close. And so we're going to rush towards this Drake, and I will bet you money Evos are going to make a very fast play towards this Baron. Because the window where Thipper is going to be big enough to do what we just saw, to clean up teamfights to 1v3, is very narrow, and Minos will overtake him as a frontline tank. Julie's damage is coming online, and critically, Kirill's just did. Kirill has just hit the point of the game where this Ezreal is going to hurt.
Like you said, 15 minutes isn't too far off, and so SBTC just have to be a little patient, look to try and pick up the items and the EXP that they need to become a lot stronger. Baron coming up now. Baron coming up now is going to be something that might want to look for. Good engage coming onto Miracle. Miracle just might go down. It's taken out by TF. He claims that kill. Now looking to the backline of Evil's Esports. Is chasing target back onto Akino. It's a 1-for-1 on the supports. Looking for the catch on the Julie. The flash forward coming out from the Zaya. They pick up the kill on the Gragas. Now, push up a rush on the Cat Satan. Cat Satan loses a lot of health, but they're back onto the Baron. They look like they could pick this one up, or at least force SBTC Esports to walk into them.
Cat Satan burning his summoners to get very aggressive there. And it works out because Kirill's nowhere nearby. Kirill, again, as this fight breaks out, not able to be relevant to it. Split completely from the team. He is the majority of the team's damage. And if SBTC are fighting without him, they're going to lose.
It's a difficult spot for him to be, and if he goes too aggressive, we see what Thipper can do. He jumps into the deep of SBTC Esports and is able to still take down the Ezreal through all of that. And so Kirill really has to be so conscious on his positioning that he's zoned down in a lot of these fights. Looking at his items right now, he managed to pick up the Mana Immune relatively early on. He's converted into a Mirror Mana, but still missing out on that Triforce because he went for that QSS upgrade. picking up that enchantment early on to avoid the crowd control that might lock him down, that might cost him his life, has also kind of removed a little bit of damage that this team might otherwise have. Meanwhile, Engage once again back on the Cat City. Cat City might get taken down. Monsoon going to be used to get the disengage. Backs off, and Evil's Esports pick up the turret, or almost picks up the turret, and still get away pretty clean.
Evos not going for the Baron though. They've got the turret in mid-low, but I would have preferred they tried to force a fight by starting the Baron. Here we go.
Five breaks out to get a catch onto Aquino. Aquino just going to get out with the Grand Entrance.
I'm sorry. There's a Lee Sin engage onto the Rakan. What's the point of that? Best case, you kill their support, but you're going to trade Valdez for it. That's a crazy aggression. The Lee Sin, doesn't have GA, has his stasis, but with what you're playing into, with Julie kind of waiting in the wings to explosive cast you, that's wild. I don't like what I'm seeing from Evos here. I don't think they're making the right steps to end this game quickly. They seem to instead be focusing on this Drake, and they're still in control, but the timer is ticking. We're now at the 12-13 minute mark. And as we head later in this game, SBTC are going to get able to 5v5 teamfight them.
Not the cleanest game from Evil's Esports. Definitely looking a little sloppy. G4 jumps into the back, looking for lockdown on the Kiro. Kiro uses the QSS a little bit too early. They jump back over onto G4, now moving the target onto TF. TF loses a lot of HP to the Ignite. Tipper still has the Guardian Angel, so he's going to be alive for a little longer. Mina jumps in with the Damascene Justice, takes down the Renekton for the first time around to get the lockout back onto Tipper. But the Monsoon giving him the HP that he needs. It's a three-man taunt. The lockdown, the members of the enemy team. SBTC might just go down here. Cat Sin tries to get onto Kiro, but Kiro gets away with his life. Now they turn the focus back onto Julie. Julie down towards this Dragon Lane. The flash roll from Miracle. He goes Golden trying to survive. They manage to take him down. Valdez is now onto TF. They change the targets back onto Vi, and Vi doesn't have anywhere to go. Uses the Q to jump in aggressively. Kiro tries to trade back as best as he can, but gets locked up. Mind just to jump in for Valdez. Instead, they hold on, not looking to go too aggressive as Tipper makes quick work of this mid lane.
And Evos don't need the Baron, which is good, because they don't seem especially interested in it. They're able to bait SPTC into taking a fight through a choke point, through a very narrow angle, and G4 spots an opportunity. Always a hero for this team, able to jump forward into the front lines, backed up by Miracle's Monsoon, and land a three-man taunt that decides the fight. SPTC want to get back into this now. They need to get out towards this Baron very quickly.
And this game between Evil's Esports and SPTC kind of feels like a repeat of what we saw on day one. SPTC never really quite find their footing, and Evil's Esports have taken the lead. And albeit not the cleanest game from them, they are just winning out mechanically in such great positions, and taking these fights in such opportune moments have really put them so far ahead. And now SPTC Esports, they don't have much vision on this Baron, so might just have to walk in here, TF.
Granted, they can't see anything. And Evos are just waiting for them in the shadows, lurking. They'll get poked out. You can see SPTC, they've done their homework. They know Evos do this.
So Valdez just gonna go a little aggressive to try and zone them out. Vision was picked up by the Gragas, but ultimately not gonna matter too much. Let's see if Evos actually want to pick up this Baron. I think they could go for it and just handshake for the Dragon instead and give that one over to SPTC. Instead, SBTC still hovering around this Baron. They're not willing to give this one up so easily.
I mean, you can see this game is not over. And frankly, it ought to be. Evos has had a couple of opportunities to end the game, and they spent that time pushing turrets instead, finding weird team fights. They still, at this point, could just start the Baron, could instead force a fight around the Drake. I would like to see them go for the Drake, because I don't think SBTC's Baron take is that quick. So if they start the Drake fight, they would force SBTC to respond either by rushing the Baron, which is punishable, or by fighting them down bottom at the Drake. And I think either of those, both those options are risky, but I think either of those are preferable to giving SBTC more time here. And what Evos have instead done is given SBTC more time, because they're confident that eventually SBTC will make a mistake that Evos can punish.
And pretty opportunistic from Evos to assume that SBTC will make that mistake. We've seen how proficient they can be when the time comes about. And so a little bit concerning that they decided to give so much space to SBTC. Finally makes the call, go on the Baron. Monsoon gonna be used to try and secure this one pretty quickly. Baldus picks up the Baron, now jumping in as Kino into the back lines. They should be able to get this fight started. SBTC in a bad position, gonna lose the Kino pretty soon though. They trade back over onto Valdez. Shiro picks up the kill for that one. Julie flashes over the blue buff. Gets out with his life, but it's a glow Baron slain for Evo's Esports, who are finally looking like they want to end this game off.
Yeah, it was an interesting play. Evo's opted to do a variation on what I was suggesting. They start the Drake with G4, with Thipper, whilst the rest of the team fights around the Baron. That means that they don't have 5 players on the Baron, which means that they lose the fight in a weird way. They trade top for jungle. I think that's still okay. I think Evos will walk away quite pleased with the result of the exchange. You can see that forcing those fights was always in their interest, and they do get that force, they do get the Baron, they do get the Drake. So they should just be marching now towards victory. I'd frankly like to see them run not even a 1-3-1, press in top, press in mid as they are, end the game as quickly as possible.
Every tool available to Evo's Esports at this point, they should be able to close this one out with a significant gold lead to boot. If they aren't able to do so, SBTC find a chance to claw their way back into the game. Like you mentioned, they collapse on this Baron lane, pick up that tower pretty quickly. The mid wave not exactly set up in their favor though, so let's see how they force this one out. Engage coming in as they do manage to lock down the Gragas. Gragas looking to lose a lot of his health right away. Redemption going to be used on both sides as there's a Galio jumps back in with the ultimate, not able to get a lockdown onto too many. Tipper loses a lot of health, he still has his Guardian Angel. TF might just go down. Great kick coming out from Valdez as he takes down the fight. Aquino is dead too, it's a double for this Lee Sin.
And that's all they needed to do. Evos, with control of the game, break open the inhibitor turret. They've still got Baron in hand, and they are looking to lock their way in, out of the group stage, into the playoffs.
Good position. The Baron does run out, so Evo's in a slightly worse position than I initially thought. To try and end this game off, 19 minutes in, they still have a really solid lead over SBTC, but as you take a look towards the Ezreal now already completing 5 items, including the boots, you know, he's looking to do a lot of damage, and this is what you were talking about. SBTC just need time to get ahead. Kiro is a substantial amount of their damage source. We'll have to see if they are going to be able to win these team fights. Otherwise, have to deal with a crashing wave coming in.
I think I've turned the corner, right? Because we are at the point where Ezreal and Gragas and Garen are all serious threats, and I don't want to undervalue that. But now that Evos have broken an inhibitor turret, it's incredibly difficult for SBTC to contest anything on the map. And Evos have 3 Drakes and an Elder coming up. It's very hard for me to see SBTC turning this around. The only way they get it is if Evos opt into a team fight in a weird place on the map. If Evos take a team fight ahead away from these objectives and lose it, then there's a way back into this game.
That weird spot might actually be around the Baron if SBTC can get a good angle to lock in on Cat Satan, to take him down before he can use the Featherstorm and really make a big difference in this fight. So this could be the last chance that SBTC have to win out a good fight to bring them back in the game.
And the hard part is, Evos can just back away from this Baron, let the split push from Thipper in the bot lane work, let the super minions split push. They don't need to fight here, they don't need to do anything. They can just force SBTC to reset and take advantage of it.
Not sure where they want to go for this fight. There's going to be the great entrance. The quickening going to be used to lock down the Lee Sin. Valdez just might go down. He goes golden, survives a little bit longer. Nice 3-man taunt once again by this Galio. G4 making the moves happen. They take down Julie. Jumping in. Valdez is looking for this. And so is Cat City. He dives into the back line. Timber crashing away down towards the bot side. And they're on to the Nexus. There's not much more left for SBTC to do as they go down one by one. Mina's likely to fall next to the Ignite taking down. Kiro doing the best that he can. Gets a double to try and slow down Evos, but it doesn't stop them as they pick up this win.
That was a weird kick from...
by QWQ.
And this is the part of the Team Secret game that always looks so clean. This is the part of the Team Secret game where they thrive. They're going to play a very clean first rotation in the jungle. You're going to see Trevor try to gank one of the lanes, usually mid or top. And then they're going to turn instantly towards the first trade.
Hang on. Might be a collapse onto Jackie. Shockwave's going to come through to get the knockup, perhaps with the flag and drag. I'm quite able to find it. Jackie flashes away, pops the barrier too for good measure.
That's a win.
Yeah, it's a pretty good spot for Team Secret. Just have to burn the Shockwave.
Yeah, you get the flash there, which is actually very important because Jackie doesn't have as good engage. Like, the Diana is a threat regardless, but Flash Diana, much scarier to your backline, much scarier to Chewy. So, that's a pretty massive tool to have down for the first fight.
Also, yeah,
what Team Secret always do.
And I kind of want to highlight, you know, Tatsuri has been staying in lane for so long, constantly channeling his recall, hasn't been able to find this back. And so he just had the Sapphire Crystal, didn't have any additional damage. I felt like that could have potentially been a difference had he joined in with a little bit more. Finally makes the recall, and right on time because Dragon's going to come up.
Now Dragon's going to come up, and you can look at the timing here. Team Secret have Trevor out from the base off of the reset here right as the Drake comes up. They don't want to go instantly for it because they don't have vision control on the other side of the wall. They know there are some QWQ members here. QWQ were also very good on timing and are here starting to fight. This is a very good call from QWQ. You need to take it to Team Secret and disrupt the early game. And because they did so,
okay, Redemption coming in. Cataclysm gonna lock in a couple members on the side of QWQ. Munster gonna be used by Hermes to split up the fight. Meanwhile, over the back end, Shockwave connects onto Tommy, but he has the Ragnarok. Stays out of the knockup. Joining in, Azar comes in. Black and Dragon not able to get the knockup onto anybody. Flashing in is a two-man upper hand from Azar. That is put a lockdown back onto Cool. Cool flashes out and we're able to survive a little bit longer, but not much health left. Instead, it's First Blood going over to the Java. They're looking back onto CLJ. Cannot quite find the damage to take the rest of QWQ down. But QWQ come up with this Dragon, but it loses first turret exchange.
Yeah, this isn't worth it. QWQ trade a kill and a turret for only the Drake, and only a Mountain Drake at that. And I really liked everything QWQ did to force that fight. They bring all 5 players down towards the Dragon, and Team Secret are caught.
How they want to recover from this moment.
Yeah, I mean, the problem is you take a good fight like that, it's all very good macro-wise, but if you can't then win the fight, you're in trouble. And QWQ did everything right. They got the 4v5 like I was talking about, where they had CLJ down there, while Team Secret didn't have Azure. But they don't turn for the fight, instead focusing on the Dragon, gambling on the fact that they would be able to disengage, and that's not what their composition's especially good at. They don't have a lot of hope, they can't walk away from a fight. They're an engaged team comp, and that loses them control of the game, which now snowballs as Team Secret take the first glove Rift Herald of the game.
And we highlighted this during the pick and ban phase. Not much disengage from QWQ. They walk in, they only go one direction. They only know one way, the only way is in and deeper and take down the enemy, but Team Secret responding in turn really well here. And so now, Kainsan already picking up the items to get the Captain Rain evolved, and should be able to look for some pretty good fights here. The next Dragon coming up in a couple of minutes. They could use the Rip Herald to set up the wave as they pick up the Dragon as well. Let's see if QWQ can find anything here. At least we do see a couple of core items completed for some of their main carries.
I mean, the big thing is the pacing at this point, because Team Secret can just take these trades. Sure, QWQ are pressing in the bot lane. Here comes a mid-shove, Rift Herald in hand. They are going to get this turret. QWQ don't have the resources to win the 3v2 down bottom. They can't out-shove Chewy's clear.
Man, and just going for it. You know, they saw the bot push and decided they wanted to go mid instead. And now into the top lane, Back and Drag connects onto Jackie. Jackie likely to go down here. The shockwave gonna be used. Moonfall not able to do too much, just delays him a little bit. Team Secret come up ahead, claims the kill on this Diana.
And QWQ shove in towards the mid lane, still trying to respond across the map. But again, they simply don't have the resources to. Top lane gank successful for Team Secret. means that they get to reset with so much more gold. They're going to trade that top turret as they have to, because eventually CLJ will take the bottom turret. But the gold advantage is now so firmly in Team Secret's hands. At the 8-minute mark, they have 4,000 in the bank.
Looking to be in a pretty good spot, especially since they get to reset right before this dragon. So even looking at their items right now, Protobell completed out the Darius, and I know you're a big fan of this. Seeing the extra mobility out from the Darius is a big issue to deal with. But they're going to be used to get a knockout back onto the Janna right away. James might just go down. He flashes back onto the backline. Jackie jumps in, but gets apprehended. He moves out with the killer instant. The characters are still locking him down. There's nowhere left to go. Shotwave coming out from Tatsuri. They pick up 2. Now looking for a 3rd, perhaps. Dragon Dragon will be jumping in onto CWJ. CWJ goes down finally with the bleed. It's a double kill for this Kai'Sa as they trade back, but Cool can only do so much. 1 dead from Team Secret and 3 dead from QWQ.
Yeah, Cool doesn't have access to the front lines of that fight. The only player that dies is Tatsuri, who gets chased out by CLJ and basically just flash ults on himself into the middle of the fight, playing a Diana there, and it works, getting a massive shockwave that shuts down all of QWQ's front line and keeps Cool again at arm's length. This is one of the downsides of the Xayah. They're not very good at those front-to-back fights, especially in comparison to a Kai'Sa. Cool can't be the poke that steps up into the front line in the same way.
I love that, TJ. You're cosplaying Diana, the sombrero ultimate, just to lock down a couple of members on QWQ's side. And, you know, we also have to highlight Trevor with that Cataclysm. He locked in Kai'Sa for so he locked in the members of QWQ for so long, they couldn't really walk out, and so Kai'Sa just able to free hit them as they were stuck in such an awkward position. Tommy, you know, he has the Ragnarok, but Ragnarok doesn't stop that wall. Instead, fight breaks out once again. Shotwave connects on the 3 as Cataclysm locks down 2. Tommy, like I said, cannot run away as the wall blocks him, holds him down. Chewy repositioned with the killer instinct. He jumps back over onto Cool. Cool tries to flash out. Azad joining into the fight now as he locks down CWJ. CWJ tries to trade back, but it's the first kill with the Nox and Guillotine, locking down for the double and heads roll as QWQ get ace from the Team Oppo ace.
Presented by Oppo, and they're going to turn instantly towards the Baron as well. Team Secret have hit critical mass. There's no way for QWQ to team fight against them now. And it all comes from their incredibly polished early game. Now, here's where, during their last game, we saw some trouble arise. Team Secret beat QWQ in the early game, got the Baron power play presented by Globe, and then didn't get any more momentum. They just froze out on the map, and it took so long to close things down. Now, they still won their game versus QWQ, and they'll likely still win this game, regardless of what they do now. But it is a weakness, and it is something I'm worried, because Team Secret's lack of late-game decisiveness has cost them wins versus other teams.
But it doesn't look like it's going to cost him this fight against Jackie, though, as Azan just jumps in, gets the dunk off, goes unstoppable, and takes out this Diana once again. 0-4 at this point, with the Rod of Ages, with the Rabadons, still not able to quite find his presence in this game. CWJ dodges away from the Cataclysm with the second charge of the Slice and Dice. So gets out pretty cleanly, I would say.
So the strategy that Team Secret are trying to execute right now is a 1-3-1, where you have a 3-man core playing the middle of the map, and 1 player on both side lanes, now shifted to a 1-2-2. Same lead, right? And if you can push in all 3 lanes simultaneously, there's no way for a defending team that's behind to punish any of them.
Hold on, fight come in, quickly in. We get the lockdown over on the Team Secret. It's nice to be able to find this spy. Shotwave connects over to the 2 as he takes down the Renekton right away. Jackie trying to jump in, and even with his damage items, isn't able to find the damage to take down Team Secret. Team Secret still find the fight, even with all of that.
Trevor just walked away. He was caught in the middle of everyone, and now he just walks right back in, finds a kill. It's 2 inhibitor turrets down. Team Secret showing that late game shot calling I was waiting for.
Now they pick up 2 turrets, looking for a 3rd, and they have the minions waves crashing in too. Calculus are going to be used to lock down Tommy. He doesn't have anywhere left to go. Team Secret gonna play discipline, holding on, not looking to overextend and try and pick up the Nexus. Instead, going to reset Pick up the jungle camps where they can, and come back
I
even
disagree
stronger.
with this. You're at a man advantage. The only player on the map that maybe hurts you is this Xayah, who's currently in Death Timer. I think Team Secret could have just ended. But they're always such an objective-focused team. They see the Drake coming up and they go, we could get the Drake, and then it would be easier. They will have to win the 5v5 off of their respawns, but I don't think that's hard for Team Secret.
I think that's exactly it. Team Secret so focused on trying to play out these incredibly clean games. They don't want to look for too risky of a play. As QWQ sits right on top of the wall, I'm not sure that's where they want to be. Shockwave around the top, but yes, the Ragnarok is in. They trade back onto this Orianna. Orianna goes down, but they get the kill onto the Renekton too. And to the backline, Azur, what a monster, what a beast! Pulls it with the
He's
upper
gonna
hand,
get 3!
jumping in with the flash. That's the dreadful kill for the Darius.
And another Oppo team ace for Team Secret as they dot their I's, cross their T's, and roll heads, knocking QWQ out of group stage contention and setting themselves up for success in this.
Their best and had some pretty interesting and good moments.
Barely alive.
It's a reset yet, and so still looking at just a single longsword, whereas Rumple is now joining back in as the Phage already completed, so it's going to be a pretty significant difference with the jungler items.
A worrying sign for Rumple. Is going to try and take advantage of it, kicking him underneath the turret. Oh, what a glacial fissure! Control his focus down with scalpel-like precision, and they get a double kill onto Raveki. Henry barely alive. Geekbam, that was beautiful. They're going to get a Drake from it.
And Trusha Barrage almost took down Henry too, and now he's stuck on the turret, can't join in. And what's worse than a Galio that's dead? A Galio that can't join into a fight with the ultimate because he doesn't have health. Even after he comes with the knockup, all it does is gives the kill over to Geekfam. So they pick up a dragon for free. Now they're going to be able to reset. It's a 3-3 kill line. Both teams back on even footing, but Geekfam come up with this dragon.
That was such a good team fight. The focus on control, genuinely so impressive.
And so now you take a look back onto Rumple. He came back from that fight, and like we mentioned, he had the item advantage, steals away the jungle cap. I'm not sure this is a good one for Control.
Oh no. Control maybe overstaying his welcome down here. There was a lane swap for Geekfam, so they were at a man disadvantage for a moment. Now Nick steps in. And that should be enough. Bigatron back away. I don't think anything else will be found here.
So just trading a little bit of pressure, Control gets his revenge, comes in to steal the Grum, says, you may have taken the dragon, but I'm gonna see your jungle camps away. Instead, they switch their attention back up to this Baron lane. Henry makes his way up, and with Control, they have such a good combo to lock down Momo with the heroic entrance. It's difficult for this Ezreal to get much done.
Turret will fall. Ezreal joined now by Nyx, as Momo and Nyx will scare away Control and Valve 1, but they can't regain control of the turret in time, so it's still Bigatron getting a macro lead. The next skirmishing target is going to be this Rift Herald as it comes up. Geekfam are going to skirmish for this top turret. Control guiding away, Henry in the meantime. Landing a very good taunt in the mid lane. Will be able to slow down the Shang and maybe find revenge for how low Dua is. Nobody dies in mid. Rift Herald will be zoned, controlled by Geekfam, and they're going to start it as well.
Okay, Geekfam coming in strong. They almost take down Diwa, but they find Control and even take his flash out of the equation. So this means Rift Herald should head over to Geekfam. They can use that to equalize turrets, break over the mid lane, and find the gold lead. After not such a great position, that's the Globe Herald slain for Geekfam. Now could use this in the mid lane. Wait for the dragon to come up. They have pretty good wave clear with Zoraveki, and again, he is that big presence for Geekfam. You know, whether it's on a control mage or it's an assassin like the Ahri, like the Akali, he gets so much work done. In this case, matching Henry so well, and Galio hasn't been able to find a single ultimate through this game yet.
Yeah, I mean, this is, I think we just have to point out, Geekfam playing up against elimination. If they lose this game, there's no way for them to make it out of groups. And this is the best they've looked yet.
So back against the wall, Geek Fam find that power spike. This is that point where you hit Saiyan mode. The first time when you realize that you have that next phase, and so they get this big power up. Zoroveki bot.
Oh no. Zoroveki, heard you talking about, is in trouble. We'll go into stasis. He gets away! The smoke veil stasis combo is enough.
And such a sneaky, slippery champion. This Akali is so hard locked out. Bigatron Esports, they thought they had that kill, and so they didn't invest all that much. Looking at Harry here, he didn't invest the quickening to try and confirm that kill because he didn't feel like he needed to. But because of that, we saw what happened. The Akali gets out, resets, and should be able to join in on this dragon as it spawns in 20 seconds. Rift held up in Rumple's inventory too, so they could use this to make a big play.
I'd like to see it. Use that Rift Herald in the mid lane, set up through it to get a very easy second Drake. Bigatron aren't going to let it happen though. You can see this aggression already. Rumple will go in, be read by Control, who gets a knock-up. Rumple is able to get away. Bigatron still in control of the river though. They have a ton of vision here.
I'm sweating watching Rumple play. He jumps in any chance that he gets, and although I can respect the aggression, sometimes I don't think it pans off too well. If Harry had invested a little bit more, controlled it, they could have potentially got this kill on the Lee Sin. And without the jungler, what are you playing for? You can't get this dragon.
Rumple has the Rift Herald as well. So there's an awful lot of value on a man who is just going. Rift Herald surely coming near its due date, so it will be summoned. Zoroveki in the meantime is called out, isolated in the bot lane. Control reads, will find a knock-up. Zoroveki has backup though, as Control dives in on Zoroveki. It's going to be the full heroic entrance follow-up. It's not enough though. Geek Fam are able to reset and come to the front line, shoving down Harry. And you've got the Zhang taking everything down. 2 kills over to Geek Fam. They're going to keep pushing forward. Zoroveki challenged by Dua, who's stepping very aggressively into Geek Fam, but it should just be a Drake.
And how did all that start? Zoroveki holding towards that dragon lane, waiting out in the Twilight Shout as we now see a fight breaking out again.
Nyx into the front line, rooted there. It's Control and Dua kites away. In the meantime, this Drake is so incredibly low, and Rumple's dead. Henry assassinating Rumple. That makes the Ocean Drake very sketchy, but it will still go over to Geek Fam, and Dua is able to kite away. Zoroveki, 1 HP shut down on the other side of this stasis. Bigatron are able to turn a fight. They lose the Drake, but they come out ahead in player kills.
The Trujna Barrage finds Dua on the exit, and Bigatron Esports for a moment finally looked like they got the fight they wanted. They got kill onto a Zoroveki, took down Rumple, and so for a moment it looked decent. But Geek Fam find more in the exchange. The Rift Herald broke open the mid lane. Meanwhile, they got that dragon, and finding that last kill on the Xayah on the exit is just icing on the cake. Geek Fam finally find their footing in the next game as they have their backs against the wall in relegation. And so now Geek Fam, they have to keep this aggression going. This is where they're strong. Rumple is looking for these opportunities for his team to continue and follow up with, especially with the Braum. They can look for these quick catches before the Galio can look for that full heroic entrance. Whereas Bigatron Esports, they just want to keep scaling up because Xayah is such a late game monster, has so much damage along the Rakan. They have a lot of team fighting potential that comes online the later this game goes, as long as they don't lose out too much.
And Geek Fam, do it. I'm so scared. Rumple just goes in on any opportunity. But Geek Fam, despite having this early game lead, don't have that much in the gold league. They don't have that much in terms of a compositional advantage. So I'm a little worried that as we go on here, Nissam, things are going to turn back over towards Bigatron.
Oh yeah, I think you're absolutely right. Bigatron have plenty of scaling options, and only being down a little bit in gold and taking a look at where most of the gold is, being on Henry and being on Dua, they have honestly a really good spot to just scale back up. Their main carries have plenty of damage. Of course, right now, Control is facing a little bit of an existential crisis. Doesn't quite know what he's supposed to do. Rumple, on the other hand, has found great pickoffs and led the fight, the start of many a fight at this point. That put his team in a good spot. Again, getting a lot of damage on the Harry, but a little bit too ambitious to try and look for a fight here. Instead, get control around the Baron, wait out for the Dragon, and force him to make a decision considering Inferno is next to spawn.
Geek Fam, do have that Baron zoned off. I would be very interested to see them force a fight now, which they could. We'll see if they have the ambition for it, as Control and Harry are instead spending their time down bottom, setting up vision around this upcoming Drake.
And so, Run of Ages, Rabadon completed for the Galleon. You take a look at Lichbane, Oblivion Orb, and Rabadon completed for the Akali. And while their goal might be similar, because the Akali has been able to find more opportunities to reset and join back into these fights earlier, has the item advantage, being able to take down the enemy carries in good spots here.
Pressure in onto Momo in the mid lane as Bigatron set up their map control, defensive. This is the way Bigatron wants to play. Like you talked about, they have the scaling game, they have the late game, and they're comfortable waiting for it.
And so for Geek Fam right now, get the Akali ahead. They've checked off that box. The Ezreal picks up 2 items, checked off that box too. Dragon coming up, they should look for his fight. They can take down Diwa, might be able to even go as far as to take down Harry with this Akali. If you're able to take down most of the playmaking and damage from Bigatron Esports, they really don't have much more left in the tank. And because while the gold looks pretty even, most of it is on the Xayah in the Dragon lane.
Harry taken to the front lines here as Bigatron begin their setup around this Drake. Geek Fam, as you talked about, need to fight this. Ozraveki's still in the bottom lane, nowhere near the Drake. As Geek Fam begin to maintain control of the area, Momo into the front lines. Forcing Bigatron back. Geek Fam now have control of the river, but Control is going to step up into it alongside Harry. And they're going to be able to threaten Geek Fam enough that this Drake take isn't safe. It is warded. They know what's up. The Shank pops the blast cone. That much harder for Bigatron to get in here. So they walk up the old-fashioned way, and Geek Fam, seeing that coming, simply cancel and shove in mid.
But Zoraveki just taking this time to farm the jungle, I'm not quite sure I agree with this play. Sure, they don't want to overcommit for the Dragon, especially when they don't have to, but going for the jungle camps instead of looking for a possible angle, not the best.
Ultimatum. He's caught the Shank, caught in the ultimate. Here's the follow, heroic entrance as well. Bigatron find a very good start to the fight, but they don't kill the Shank. Ruffle drops into stasis in the front lines. Finally, Henry will go down. The Shank able to find a massive shutdown. And there's Ozraveki. A double kill. Cleans up the fight as soon as he arrives. Ozraveki gives Geek Fam a massive team fight win.
And a big run for the money. Bigatron Esports not gonna be happy with this one. Geek Fam finally get the big fight they were looking for the longest time. Snowballs and propels themselves ahead in gold. 5,000, the biggest lead we've seen all game, and this means the Dragon converted over onto Geek Fam. They choose to push out the bot wave instead of going for his Baron. This is understandable, considering Momo just doesn't have the sustained damage that you otherwise would have with that Blade of the Rune King. Without that, difficult to pick up this Baron quickly. Instead, they're gonna reset, come back in stronger, pick up another fight yet again. And the Shang, so critical here, has multiple survivability items, and with a heavily physical damage composition, Bigatron Esports have a difficult time taking down this Garen.
Harry in control, zoning here. They know what's up. Bigatron know that Geek Fam are about to start this Baron. But like you were talking about, how do they get past the Shank? How do they get in on any of these objectives at this point?
Oh, they took the blue buff. They stole it away. I'm sorry, that was just way too entertaining to see. So Bigatron Esports, once again, in a tough spot, they just have to keep trying to scale back up, because even with how strong the Shang is, there's only so much he can do. The Felp is a big split pushing threat, and with the precision protocol, can get through damage.
Ooh. All alone, control into the front lines. Will be backed up now by the heroic entrance and Harry. They've got a good taunt as well. Yigfam very low, but control's going to be the first player to die. He finds a trade. Momo goes down. Du and Harry cleans up in the meantime, though. Massive plays from Ozurveki yet again to sweep in round the side. And that will be Yigfam coming out on top of a scary fight.
The cornerstone of Geek Fam, Ozurveki, comes online and takes down the members of BTR. And like we said, where's the gold on? It's on Diwa, it's on Harry. And if these two cannot join the fight, there's nothing Bigatron can do. You don't expect Control to do much at this point. You don't expect Harry to do much at this point. They get a little bit of crowd control. They find maybe a little bit of damage. But the bulk of the fight's impact is going to be resting in Henry's and Diwa's arms. So Geekfam make great priority focus to lock down the Xayah early on. Of course, they trade back on Momo, and so that takes away the chance to do Baron from Geekfam. And Geekfam, I feel like a little bit too worried about misstepping and making this Baron call. I feel like they could be going for this chance a little bit stronger and a little bit earlier instead of waiting for Bigatron to come back in.
Rumpel trying to solo out the Rakan. It's not going to happen. He's too fast.
So now Geekfam crashing in the wave, and this is a good decision from them. If they can crash in the mid wave, crash in the Baron wave, Baron lane wave, they can convert that into a Baron start. Force Bigatron to walk into them. Control, of course, could dive in with the Galio. But with how far and how wide the teamfight could spread out, Diwa could be in a spot where he just cannot offload any damage at all. And so Geekfam taking it slow. This is one of the longest games that we've seen in a while at this point. I really respect Geekfam playing it a very disciplined way, finally starting up the Baron perhaps.
No, because you've got this split lane on the opposite side,
Yeah.
and Bigatron are going to take advantage of that, knowing they have a man advantage, but do is instantly split from the fight. Caught alone, shot by a true shot, and here comes Ozurveki. Do it still live with a flash, heal, Featherstorm, that keeps him going. Ozurveki, no HP, in the stasis, will flash away this safety. Bigatron survived the attempt, but they lose control, and with a jungler down, Geekfam have no excuse to not start this Baron.
And Henry was so clutch there, denying Ozurveki from jumping in and taking a great fight to execute Diwa. Without the Xayah, there's no chance of stopping this Baron. At the very minimum now, Bigatron Esports could look to delay this or force Geekfam to reset. Instead, they're just going to look to try and move in, but Ozurveki is such a big presence, such a big threat. Not too much to do here.
4,000, 3,000.
Yeah, just throws down the smoke now. Henry in, taunt, should be able to find the kill, but he's not going to get the Baron. That Baron over to Geekfam. A double kill to Ozurveki. Oh my lord, a triple. It's going to be the Glow Baron power play, followed immediately by an Oppo team ace. Geekfam in dominant control of the game. They're going to run all the way down the mid lane and keep their tournament hopes alive. With this win, Geekfam are going to stay in the Summer Super Cup. They have an opportunity to get out of groups.
And finally gets that win. They are so happy. You can see some of the players literally jumping in excitement. Finally gets that first win. It's a great feeling for Geekfam. They're still in the running. They have the next match up against Amihan Esports, and if they can repeat what we just saw out of them here, there's a chance they could take down the Giants of Group B.
Yeah, that would be huge. Geekfam after
It's crazy as that.
Rate is skyrocketing, and I think it's going to continue to be the case. I think it's for the rest of the team could be far more valuable by Amihan. Amihan were the ones doing
forced error in the Olaf immediately afterwards. I assume that this Camille is going to take to the top side and not be played in the jungle, but we do have a moment here where Amihan could surprise and dismay us. Instead, it's going to be the Jarvan, who I think is a much better jungler, and I think works very, very well with the Galio and Camille.
Absolutely agree with you there, TJ. And it's strange, you know, of course, the Lee Sin being banned out, Rumpel cannot look for that again, but I have to wonder, is Jarvan not a reasonable pickup to replace that Lee Sin instead? is Wukong not a reasonable pickup to replace that? Instead, the Olaf kind of has to get in close range, close proximity to deal damage against a Mihan. The Undertow doesn't find that much impact. A little bit concerning looking at Geeks Fam draft. They don't have too much disengage apart from the buy-in from Lux.
This is the second time we've seen Nyx pull out their Lux, and I have to admit I wasn't terribly impressed by it last time. They'll need to change their pace. As we head towards our next game, it's going to be time for Geek Fam, still up against the edge of group stage elimination, to try their luck against Amihan, one of the best teams here in the tournament.
It's a tough matchup for Geek Fam. Their backs are against the wall. You have to eke out this win somehow. Zoroveki once again on Sakali.
Here we go.
Let's see what they have in store for us.
It never gets old. Every single time we get to go through the portal, I am delighted. It's time for a game. I want to start picking things apart because you were really excited for Zoroveki to get on this Akali. Get it again. Do you think that makes a big difference in this mid lane?
Zoroveki actually gets to have the exact same matchup that he did last game against Henry on the Galio, and so, you know, it's a pretty good setup. That being said, though, they have to be a little concerned because it's pretty easy to shove in the Akali early on. Akali, while doesn't have mana and uses energy, it's very easy to expand all her resource while trying to deal with the wave, and once she does that, very difficult to join into a fight. So all you have to do is repeatedly crash in the mid wave, and Zoroveki is permanently assigned to just deal with that. Cannot rotate around the map.
Right.
It's an okay matchup for the Akali to have, but of course the problem really comes in how Jelson is going to sync up with this Galio to crash in the wave and force Akali back.
Every time we see this matchup, I'm caught between like my analyst brain, which says Galio is really good into Akali. And the fact of the matchup, which oftentimes is that anyone who's willing to pull out an Akali in a competitive match, I'm going to hold this thought, Tornado will land Momo very low in this early exchange. But anyone who's willing to pull out the Akali in a competitive match is pretty darn confident in their ability to carry.
I mean, you already see it. Zoroveki gets a pretty good damage on this Galio, but once again, just looking at the waves, they crash in bot side though.
Deep dive, Jelson already behind the tournament, already finding first blood. As Momo is gone, Demon gets credit for the kill. It's even better for Amihan as they start things off with a bang.
Look at the difference between this game and the last. Zoroveki stuck on the turret, can't rotate, can't move over to assist his team. They aren't the playmakers this time around. This time around, ball's in Amihan's courts. They are in the driver's seat and they are dictating the pace of the game. Painful for Geek Fam to see, but that's what happens when you draft for the Olaf. Olaf just doesn't have that kind of presence. Where he's good at, he's good when he goes in the enemy jungle. He duels against Jelson, puts a good solid fight against this Javan, but apart from that, it's a difficult spot for them to be in.
So, what do you do if you're Rumpelrug now? How do you, because we're seeing this reset, this is going to be the fight for the first dragon that they're both beginning to set up for. How do you try and position that for that if you're Geek Fam and you're currently behind in the bottom line?
Well, I mean, for now, I think you just have to be aware that the Java is just going to continuously gank bot.
He's back. Second time, he's going to get lie bound, and Nyx will find that route. Oh, good old to try and zone Demon back. It found the kill. Very well played by Nyx, ensuring a 1-for-1 positive trade. Support for AD carry, and they force Jelson back on low HP. Oh, but he's going to circle right back round. Jelson, even on low HP, goes for a second swing down in the bottom lane, and Momo can't stay ahead of him. Jelson eats the turret shot. It's another 1-for-1 trade. The jungler down with just 23 seconds left before the dragon spawns.
Look, I'm happy for Geek Fam to find these catches, to find these trade backs, to go 2-for-2 at the end of the day. But my problem really comes, they're playing reactively. Every fight is led by Amihan. Amihan were the ones to engage, to initiate, and because of that, they have so much more control over the tempo. They have to be they were so lucky to be able to trade back for both kills, and so this gives them a little bit more space for Rumpel to come in, to set up some control around this dragon. But for the most part, with how reactively DFAM are playing, it's going to be problematic as the game goes on, because Amihan Esports, once the Galio comes online, they're going to be able to jump in with the heroic entrance, set up for these fights, get the lockdown, take down the key carries from GeekFam, because Zoroveki's Twilight Shroud doesn't prevent AoE damage, doesn't prevent the lockdown from Galio and the like. He has to be concerned about that.
Yeah, Zoroveki going to be a hard focus for Amihan as this goes forward. Which is why it's all the more important that Momo and Nyx kind of develop as threats in themselves. Because I think if you can full focus a single target, that's what this Amihan Esports team in draft does very well. If you have to pay attention to Momo and Nyx kind of poking around the side, whilst Rumble and the Shang play frontline, it's very easy instead for Zoroveki to weave their own way into the backlines.
Instead, now,
Drake.
Amihan.
Drake will be started here. I apologize, I jumped the gun there. Amihan having to reset off of it, not feeling they have enough control.
Right, but GeekFam, they don't have all too much to deal with Amihan's threats, and so question and response not quite there for GeekFam.
Drake will reset again. GeekFam still don't have a way in, but if Amihan start the Drake, then GeekFam will be able to walk in round the side, and that's very scary. So Jelson says, I don't need to be here. Somebody else keep an eye on the Drake. I'm gonna go back and do some farming. He's planting potatoes.
And this is a huge stalemate, and a little bit surprising to see from both of these teams. You would think that Amihan Esports should be going a little bit more aggressive around these objective fights, considering they've now hit a pretty strong point.
Did Jelson get that? He did! He smites it away.
So at least
Drake will
takes
be
that out.
spotted out by this redemption, as I think GeekFam are a little tilted by what just happened and automatically start the Drake. That's made this very messy now. Half HP on the Drake, and they're on the HP. They stay here, keep soaking up these hits. It's going to go down to 2,500 HP on the Drake. Double life by Nick Found. Oh, nice final spark, but it's cancelled out by the Monsoon. The Shack called out in the middle of the pit. Can't get in. Will find the damage. Drake goes over to Amihan, and they turn the fight as well. Good damage from the backline. Zoroveki finds the trait, though. 2 for 2 on the fight. Even trading. Drake to Amihan. Momo still in the pit, still dueling Demon, will find massive damage, but North come out on top, and Nyx trying to find the counter engage onto Demon, can't do so, as Carl roams down from the top side of the map, gets back in the fight, and will find the kill, and may even find more, as Rumple has just walked up here into Carl's waiting arms, and gone down as well.
I'm not quite sure what's happening here, TJ. GeekFam looked like they had a good spot. You know, they somehow turned the fight around. They might have lost a dragon, but they picked up a number of key kills. Of course, Demon had got out. And so Momo, with that vision, was baited in, and with the support from the Janna, it changed the tide of that exchange. They lost out in the end. 2 kills dead, and for some reason, we just saw the Camille walk back in and take down Rumble too. I'm a little bit confused as to what the decision process was for GeekFam at the end of that, because things were looking okay, and they gave 3 kills away.
Rumble just kind of walking towards the blue buff, I guess thinking that the timing was such Amihan's jungler wouldn't be there, which was true, but his teammates have just been killed by multiple members of Amihan, so no.
So now it looks like Amihan actually right back on their Herald. The fight never ends.
Mitsura in the front lines as Carl roams in. Mitsura will flash over the wall. In the meantime, Jelson on the Herald finds a kill. It's traded out by Zoroveki. Zoroveki on no HP will be shut down. A double kill to Jelson and a Monsoon from Orthoros to split the fight. Ensures Amihan's dominance. They won't be able to find Rumple, so it's small victories for GeekFam as Amihan take complete control of this early game.
The fight doesn't quite end here. The Shang gonna go down. Looks like it's Amihan Esports continuing the aggression to take down the Garen. And I love what you said. You know, small victories over the GeekFam. All things considered, not the worst case scenario. I mean, it's not great, but they trade back a bit. But oh my goodness.
Small victories in the face of large defeats. as their players are zoned out to the jungle, and Jelson finds Nyx just wandering through it. That's going to be another kill over, as it does rather feel like GeekFam have tilted.
Yeah, it looks like GeekFam were a little unhappy about what I said, so they decided to just throw their bodies at Demon once again. Lost Nyx's life at the end of that. I don't quite like that, you know, they had a pretty good position. I was quite content with the fact they managed to trade back for that one kill because, you know, all things considered, it was a pretty bad fight for them. They were in a bad angle. The Rift Tower was going to go down regardless. So, not being able to stop Amihan from being able to take that in exchange for just one additional kill to Amihan looked pretty decent. Instead, they go back in for a fight that didn't really have to happen. They could have just backed off, reset, you know, delayed for a little bit longer. The Rift Tower was going to despawn. Since now, they're actually in a pretty bad spot. 7k go down.
Ozrovecki caught by the Hextech ultimatum. Oh, you're going to have the heroic entrance on top, cancelled out by the stasis, but the taunt is there. And it's another kill to Amihan. They're going to chase Rumpel down. Good management of turret aggro. And the Shang steps up, maybe trying to finish off Jelson, but there's simply no way that works out as GeekFam continue to walk ever further forward. Mitsura will go down in trade, but that is the only trade as Carl hits a flash hook shot for a kill, and this should be a full team ace.
And it's an Oppo team ace for Amihan Esports. The fact that they were able to just go in, dive them all, and take them down. Demon a little bit sad that didn't get the red buff, but doesn't really matter at this point. This Corki is an absolute monster. Comes into these fights and he unloads damage so quickly, but Ozrovecki trades back and takes down the Corki. Just as I was saying it, the caster's curse is real.
GeekFam games, I don't blame you. There's not enough time to cast them. Even in defeat, GeekFam continue pressing ever further forward. They're 10,000 gold behind, give or take, and trying to force a Drake. Spotted by the Redemption. Here comes Jelson round the side. Ozrovecki will zone him back. And if they can keep the jungler away, Rumpel can solo this out, but Mitsura's going to come around the side and build a space for Jelson to come in and contest properly. Cataclysm is deployed. Jelson, oh, he smites too early. It's going to be stolen away by Rumpel. Rumpel's going to die in this pit. They don't have a flash, so the dive comes in. Ozrovecki trying to follow up, and that opens up the backlines. Now it's Bobo cleaning things up, able to shut down Carl. A very good team fight for GeekFam. Unfortunately, it will be short-lived as Demon comes in on the Valkyrie and cleans everything up. Amihan lose the Drake, lose the fight momentarily, but come out ahead in kills.
Oh man, TJ, it looked good for a second there, but Ozrovecki at this point running for his life, and there's not much he can do because GeekFam in such a bad spot. They went in for the dragon, they managed to pick it up because, like you said, you know, they managed. Wow, such a close one. Ozrovecki gets up, but yeah, like you said, the smites a little bit early, so Rumpel gets the dragon, but it's not a great one because they have to invest so much to get over the wall, and by the time that happens, Amihan Esports dive in with the Galileo, lock them down, hit them with that brick of damage. GeekFam, you know, Heath lying on the floor here, kind of got hit way too hard. They are rolling in a puddle of misery as they have to try and claw their way back in. Baron is up, and that's going to be the next obvious objective for Amihan Esports.
Amihan, at current game state, should be able to close things out, but like you say, they're not turning towards the Baron, despite it being the obvious objective. They didn't fight that Drake until GeekFam did. I can't help but feel they're playing with their food a little bit.
It does kind of feel that way. Amihan Esports, even from the beginning of the game, felt a little bit slower. They didn't necessarily go for the aggression that we've seen them when they went up against the likes of Alliance, for example. Instead, respecting GeekFam a lot more, taking it a little bit slower. Of course, they did put pressure onto Momo and Nyx, but the fact that this bot lane, this Dragon lane duo was able to hold out. Meanwhile,
the Shang's in trouble. It's a pretty easy kill. Ozrovecki, in the meantime, will be caught out. He's got backup, so that's going to be different. Flank and drag knocks him up, but inside the smoke there, Ozrovecki can keep waiting for that perfect execution. It's not going to happen. Double light binding from Nyx will trigger the final spark, and there goes the dive. As Rebecca able to find Demon, but shut down instantly by Jelson on the Cataclysm, and Momo's now in trouble. It's going to be cleaned up. Rumpel around the side. Othoros zoned away. Rumpel actually going huge. As Fan find the kills, but in the meantime, all the while, Hobby Hunt's just working away at the base. And then Søren Karl will walk on in and ends the game. There's nothing that can be done.
Nice.
Hobby Hunt take it.
What a game-winning push from Neon Esports to end it in such a fashion. Walked right in through the Dragon Lane. Oh, wow, that was crazy, TJ.
And they show us exactly what the result of the game was, just in case you're curious.
The full victory post. That's some common rider.
I agree, and you guys know which team I'm cheering.
I wonder if there's going to be any sort of the changes into the draft if we're actually going to a
I kind of doubt it. I don't think that either team really has to change what they're working with. You know, overall, it looks like a pretty good composition. I'm not a huge fan of the Fiora, like we've talked about before. Fiora feels a little bit lackluster to me, excuse me. It doesn't seem to have all that much impact apart from when you're really trying to zone out that side wave, bring someone over to you. The Garen is a nice response to be able to deal with this. And it's pretty difficult for Fiora to outplay a Camille and Garen by herself. And so you kind of have to kind of put some resource and bring TF to
here and just look at folks that can actually
Rip Herald, because you
for SBTC
is generally a champion that has Rip especially, and so Esports and Team Secret, yeah, I think TWQ will play against Evos later.
and actually come up with it. Of course, it definitely depends on how if you're actually juggles with the pressure in the lane. If Fiora could actually bully out the Garen by getting a hold of all these vital procs, then he won't be really having enough to work with and has to force himself to hug the turret. But a pretty good start for QWQ over the bottom side.
It really depends on resource management for this Garen versus Fiora lane, because I'm sure that anybody that plays Fiora will know how resource heavy Fiora is. Your mana runs out so quickly, you have to be very careful when it comes to holding this matchup. And so once Garen is able to pick up the Bramble Vest, you know, deny some of the healing, like you mentioned, from those vital procs, Fiora has a much more difficult time trying to sustain in lane and hold on. Oftentimes gets shoved out, not because HP is running out, but because the mana is out. Instead, let's put our attention towards this bot side for a bit, because SBTC Hero loses out quite a decent amount of going EXP, zoned away by Cool and Bajai because Aquino had to recall.
That's right, and we definitely think that this is
Oh, hold on, what's gonna happen here? Fight breaking out, looks like a decent amount of damage onto Aquino right away. They're flashing forward for the last Omlet to get the first blood. It's first blood over to QWQ. Now moving over onto TF. TF drops down low, has to flash out, but it survived and is one kill claimed up by the red team.
That's actually a great position coming in from QWQ and putting so much heavy priority on that Scuttle. Definitely worked out very well, and I thought that maybe the Camille would be able to actually punish TF even further since he's already flashed away across the wall. So things are looking to be pretty good for the Hong Kong region for now, while Minas is going to be putting some hook here.
Might see a fight break out once again. Mina's stuck in the pit. Ultimate coming in from Tommy to get a lockdown over onto the Lee Sin. Lee Sin goes down, now attention back onto the Fiora. Fiora dashes away to the repost. Still has a flash, not too much pressure there, but double Scuttle start and double kills the QWQ to start off the game.
You know, internally, I'm just having this joy where finally things are really working out for the QWQ side. Now they get a little bit of a decent lead, and then it comes down to the goal that they have managed to stash up by getting the double Scuttle, as you do mention. So, I don't know. TF seems to be struggling for slightly a tad bit, while Tommy has already got 2 kills, which will mean that this Camille could easily just set up some decent dives on either side of the lanes.
And QWQ playing in good form, getting some control in these really critical moments. I think it all kind of started when Aquino had to recall early on for the harass that was coming out from QWQ, and because of that, Kiro stuck in a bad spot. He didn't have much HP, couldn't lend his hand over to that dragon fight. So SBTC lost that. And once they lost that, they lost momentum. QWQ made their way up the topside river, picked up that one as well. Chom coming through to get good damage over onto the Rakan. Rakan dashes out. No flash available. No Ignite on the side. QWQ, they cannot find it even with the True Shot Barrage. But still a good trade. TF walks into the arms of Tommy. Tommy gets some good damage, trades back, but dashes out in the end. Sonic Wave comes in, Resonating Strike going to be used as well. TF just walks back. Dragon spawning up in 10. That's the recall coming through from QWQ.
QWQ really wants to reset for the Dragon as well. They don't really have too much vision established other than one more over on the side brush. And for the likes of SBTC Esports, they're slowly recuperating. It's only going to be 1,000.4 of difference for the moment. We're already working on the Triforce as per usual. Bramblefest as well as a Bomby Cinder already in the hands of the Garen. Now TF going for the Scuttle, but immediately getting poked by the Seraphine. This might not look all too good for SBTC to commit.
And both sides looking pretty okay here. TF flashes away as it's the flash forward coming in from the Seraphine. So Mega Furball comes in, gets the Attitude, claims the kill. Now into the back end to take down the Seraphine right away. Hex automated to lock down 3, but it looks like Tommy's the one getting locked down. He goes down. Kaisa claims the kill for that one. Cool trying to trade back, but he goes down. It's a triple kill for this Kaisa. Now looking for a Quadra, coming in with the Canyon Ray. One more auto attack, will find it. Looking for the kill with the Plasma, isn't able to do so. But 3 to the side of SBTC as they equalize to 3 to 4 kills.
This is great for SBTC. Just look at all the kills being funneled into the Kaisa. So this is going to be their main condition being met right here to enable them to eventually crush out the competition. Well, it's just going to be a very quiet top lane side. And it's just holding back as the Garen will have the wave being shoved right in, which means that this Garen might just be paying a visit to the Dragon hit in a couple more moments.
Rinse and repeat the fight once again. Eyes on this Dragon. Both sides want this. Aquino looking to go into position. Chom connects onto 2. Might be able to take down the Kaisa right away. Flashing forward. Looks like Cole couldn't be able to find this kill. Managed to pick that one up. And it's a shutdown on this Kaisa. They get the Dragon 2 QWQ with 2 big pickups.
But they do exchange it for a turret though. So this is going to give so much more room for Minas to just try to get a lot more attention coming in from members of QWQ. Gonna be soaking just a shot of the turret, but we'll still get it eventually. Now, looking back at it, QWQ is really putting SBTC on a really uncomfortable spot when it comes down to all these major objectives, and now eyeing on the Rift Power as well.
It looks like they're never quite done. Any objective available is an objective they want to go for. Dragon's Rage going to be used, kicks away Tommy, but Kiro walks in position, looking to catch onto this Camille. Instead, they put the focus over on the TF. TF might just go down. Teleport coming through. They try to join into the fight. Super Mega Furball comes in with the Essence Barrage, getting the kill. Now into the back end, Tommy might just go down. They manage to get some good damage to the Kiro. Jumping in the dunk for the Garen, takes down this Kaisa. And eyes back onto the Red Herald as QWQ pick up every fight they can go for.
Where was this QWQ when you needed them to pop up? And I'm really glad that I got some of my cards right this time around by, putting some hope onto the Hong Kong region. Now, this will be the Globe Herald in the hands of QWQ. So, where's this going to go? Probably on mid or even top side, but they're already working on the Baron Lane turret. As the golden stashes. Miles, don't think that you will just hop on top of both the Seraphine as well as Rosa now.
Yeah, I'm just gonna clear out the wave. Okay, like you mentioned, gonna use that Rift Herald up in the Baron lane. Trying to clear out that turret, get that one, and trade back. That's a pretty good confirmation on the amount of gold that you get in QWQ's pockets. So with that one, they pull themselves up with 2,000 gold lead in pretty good position. Take a look at the Lee Sin's items. I'm not quite sure I like this. Is opting for a lethality item, but not going for the Ghost Blade, instead going for this Umbro something. What's this one called again?
Umbro Glaive?
Umbro Glaive, yes, that's right. Instead going for this one, the Umbro Glaive, I'm not quite a big fan of this. They could go for the Guardian's Angel, since he is a little bit behind. Try to get back into these fights to survive a little longer, but Alright, we'll see how it goes.
I guess a little bit of vision control doesn't occur, but I agree it could have been a close play which can actually get the Lee Sin towards a better position if they really want to go very aggressively, and Guardian Angel could never go wrong. While SBTC, they're being shoved right under the turret. Meanwhile, QWQ here will be having members back up in the air.
Some pressure coming out from QQ as to get a chop back on the Kino. Kino tries to dash away, but Supermega for one claims the kill. They straight back onto the Camille. Hero gets the kill credit that one. Now back on the Julie. Julie doesn't have much more to go. Flashes out. TF over by the side. Gets spotted out by the ward. Just looking quite some safety for his Oriana. He's able to do too much. As you can just see, QWQ applying pressure everywhere across the map.
Yeah, and also just taking note of some of the item builds as well. But Jai on the Seraphim, he's not really going for a traditional redemption or at times, the stats is the Chen. Instead, he goes for the Locket, which also helps them get a slight bit of shield for all the teammates that will be heading in towards this team fight. While as in comparison to a redemption, you gotta wait there for a couple seconds. I guess they got no patience for that.
I love that you mentioned that, being able to have these upgrades around the dragon is so critical. The fact that they are able to give so much additional shielding, additional health, can really turn the tides of this battle. And so with the Cloud Dragon coming up, QWQ, they want to go for this. I'm pretty sure they want to go for this. They've gone for every fight around these objectives where they could. That being said, though, let's take a look towards Minas and towards Hoten, because Minas went for that teleport upgrade, whereas Garen, Hoten went for the Gargoyle Stoneplate. So better fighting potential from the Garen, but more cross-net availability from this Fiora.
Yeah, this is pretty ideal for the Fiora already, so she could just focus on the lanes instead of just moving right in. Oh, that was nasty! That True Shot Barrage almost sniping down Hero. I didn't see that one coming.
Good damage, almost takes down the Kai'Sa right away, and so you can see SBTC forced to walk up. They don't have vision, so they're just gonna move back into the mid lane, but the wave cleared out. It's an easy pickup on this dragon. I'm loving QWQ's macro and micro plays right now. Mid lane gonna get collapsed on. Let's see how they defend this.
Trying to see the rip buff, but there is SBTC members shoving all the way up mid. Taking out the a little bit more help for a key move for another moment. A little bit of dance for the rate buff for quite some time now. I guess Guinness will just skip that one up and say, okay, this is too much of a hassle for me, but oh, what's going on?
Nothing much, just Akito going down again, and he's tried to make plays. He's looked to find good spots for his team, but hasn't been able to do so. Now lock up back onto Julie. Nice kick. They get the catch on the Four goes down right away. Good damage back on the TF. He is able to go down. Good damage coming in. He flashes out. He almost claims the kill for that one. Instead, he moves back towards the safety of the turret. Hoten joins back into the fight. The Garen looking to be at front line for his team. There's not the wave, and I think that's about it for the C fight.
I just love how QWQ is playing such a better macro game as well as team fights in general. And just look at this lead that they had it for the very first time, which is quite sizable. Just about getting towards the 4,000 mark because still around 3,000. Jackie is already getting so much out of all these light skirmishes. 206 at the moment. Levels also included Zeko. So, let's see if whether or not SBTC could just pick this 6 up, especially when he's already got the enchantment, got very up, flash, maybe not
yeah, it's gonna be difficult to take out Jackie, especially since he has both summoners up. You can see how impactful it was when they took down Cole. That was a big fight win. Kino once again jumps in, has to try to fight back around, gets a chop back over to Julie. Even with the shockwave, not able to do too much. Good damage out from Jackie, he doesn't go down. That's it. And now Hoten joins in the fight, so for the bomb, sets the stage for the rest of the game. But inside, they don't even have to do it. They have so much pressure, so much control. The dash in from Cole right into the face of Minas, who can't even go back. When have you seen a Fiora run away from Ezreal?
I've never really seen one, to be honest. Every Ezreal, I was playing Ezreal from time to time, and when there's an Fiora on the enemy side, she'll just look to dive me. But when you do have a Rakan who's always diving hit first without your teammates surrounding you, I guess it's better for the player to just, hold back and say, I don't have any business here, so just wait for the right moments. That's the way that SBTC wants to play, and maybe just look for the late game scaling. That's where she will be a lot more effective now that she's already building to Death Dance. She can last a little bit longer in some cases.
Oh, for sure, but like you mentioned, Fiora's issue isn't really the HP, but the mana, and can so quickly run out of it. So, stuck in a side lane, trying to shove out quickly when she joins into this team fights, very often what you'll see happen is the Fiora doesn't have much mana to work with, gets stuck in a bad spot, loses efficiency and loses relevance really quickly. So if QWQ can actually hold him in a side lane for a long time, this teleport enchant on his boots could actually be a little bit less viable and a little bit less useful. Okay, there we see the upper grade value coming in now. They spotted out that water on them. As they get ready for the dragon, QWQ set up position here.
Well, for 30 gold investment, I'm not too sure of that, so I don't know. But then again, hey, a little bit of something, I guess. Here comes exit elevator.
Lockdown back on the Kino. Kino might just go down. True shot, Mirage not going to find the execute as they jump back into the backpass. TF looking to sacrifice himself for his team. And SBTC Esports running for the hills. Then back out once again. Julie flashes out. She gets a little bit too aggressive, standing way too close to QWQ. But back in this and trying to win this fight out. Dragon's gonna come up, they're looking to pick up that one. It's a slam dunk from Hogan. Takes down this Oriental.
I don't even know what to say. QWQ now looking in their prime form. Probably being a little bit too late to first qualify, but they are definitely showing their best possible strength right now.
Not sure you want to go for that. Aquino once again running for the hills, not much HP left. Hero goes over to the side, flashes across the wall, back to the safety of his turret, and the team QWQ doesn't look like they want to follow up on that, but they're happy with the dragon. Baron is up, they can reset, they can push that again, and wow, rinse and repeat. QWQ winning every team fight.
Yeah, and I honestly don't know. There seems to be a little bit of disconnect of how SBTC Esports is actually looking for all these aggressive plays unnecessarily, especially with them hitting right in, but they don't have any members going in. They're pretty much split when it comes down to opinion. Maybe they can connect a little bit better when they will be using Globe just to get things off the line.
Wow, very smooth, Quadra, very smooth. Yeah, let's hope QWQ can be half that smooth as they set up for this Baron. Getting some control on the mid wave, crashing in the Baron lane as well. As they set up some vision control, you can see the response out from SBTC to look around these angles, but Aquino once again at a bad spot. He gets spotted out by Tommy, he's gonna just go down. Max out, they managed to survive, but you can see how worried SBTC is to take a team fight that they're not willing to go for.
Yeah, and SBTC, they gotta stop with the fiesta of diving head first, so now it's gonna be a very good reset for them, at least to first get their thoughts all together while Venus will be working on the bottom turret. This is going to be adding them a little bit more gold just to complete the items, especially the death cap. That will be very valuable for their Oriana. Now, Julie.
Wei Sham gets the catch on to the Rakan. He pops right away. Julie now might be the target focus. Then they move back over on the field. Tommy walks back towards his team. Eventually going to be used by too little, too late. They've already taken down another. Now looking for the catch onto the Kaisa. He goes down. Jackie just zoning out TF, and even with the Guardian's Angel, that doesn't make it impervious. It just gives you a second chance. A QWQ won't give him that as they move right onto this Baron.
I just love how Budjai is actually controlling many of these team fights and keeping every member of QWQ alive. And here comes the Gold Baron power play for QWQ.
Pick up the Baron. They pick up 3 kills on SBTC 7 and 17. QWQ looking the cleanest they've ever looked. And all the doubt on the panel for nothing, they are making a mockery of us.
I'm pretty sure that they are having so many comments about this match right now, and we're Team Secret. They're probably smiling watching this match like, okay, this is making our jobs a lot easier. We might just be the second seed overall if this is going to be the case.
Might still be tough to get second seed as Akito takes a decent amount of damage back. Flash away from Pool. Reposition away. Pretty close here. Child coming next over on the TF, so he goes into Stacy. The Guardian Angel is probably damage gonna be used for the notable trades back. Pops him right away. It goes over to Jackie. He claims the kill. Now claiming the turret as well. And moving on to the Nexus, and there's not much left for SBTC as QWQ make their way in to perhaps pick up their first win in the Summer Super Cup. Nexus down to 1,200, but they change the targets back over on the Kiro, who goes golden to Divine. He dies instead. Seraphine goes down, but they trade back on the Kaisa. Using Wave now crashing in, they still have 4 alive, and they dump back onto the Nexus. They pick up their first win against the Vietnamese region.
This has to be the upset of the day. QWQ finally found their first ever win. Like I said, walking back with some